So today's meditation is intended, and I'm saying intended in quotation marks please, to be a whole lot simpler than the 3 meditations we've done already, because it is about being in a space where we absorb the transmissions of energy that have come through in those 3 meditations. It's very nice for me that today is the Indian festival of Holi, if only because it is a festival that works with a variety of colors in powdered form, where people are throwing these colors onto each other and becoming a range of colors, which of course we are energetically already. When we did the meditation last week, I said it was really difficult because when I was working with it and I had to connect to some point outside of my own auric field that is Shiv, my entire energy system, especially from my third eye, was connecting to everything in the universe. Everything, absolutely everything simultaneously. And the dance on the inside was a figure of 8 extending over my third eye all the way down across my heart center. So imagine the 8 going like that in a curve over the third eye or around the third eye, around the heart center, and then extending into another 8 around the sacral chakra and coming all the way up and completing the figure 8 in that flow of infinity, very much like our time, our hourglass. So that the heart was in the center and the third eye and the sacral, which are directly connected to each other anyway, were an extension of that same flow of energy in those double 8s that were now overlapping over each other. So to hold that space was a bit difficult. And of course you've all recognized that last week's meditation was a meditation that brought the other 2 meditations together and then expanded from there to connect with the universal intelligence. We've done other meditations like this in the center, just at different vibrations. And I'm looking at this and I feel like everything we're doing at this stage is in fact a repetition of other things that when we did them seemed crazy and hectic, but actually now when I look back it seems so simple by comparison to what we're doing now. It's just the same thing at a different vibration. And of course it's with different visualizations so that we don't get bored out of our minds, and it's with different visualizations that connect us to everything else that's going on, even if we don't know what that everything else is. So I specifically said, please can we have a simpler meditation? I have set a clear intention that we need a simpler meditation so that I can hold the space and the vibrations that we've been introducing into the group and into the network over the past 3 weeks now have an opportunity to be absorbed, especially in preparation for the full moon that's coming and in preparation for equinox that's coming, because equinox again is that space of balancing in. So I want our physical bodies as well as our energy bodies to be prepared to the extent that the physical body is able to hold the expansive and expanding energy of the auric field itself. You do know, don't you, that your auric field is in an expansive mode, and you might actually be feeling some discomfort in terms of new vibrations entering into it, and you have to be able to hold it. Some people just feel higher levels of irritation or tiredness. Some people just go into let me fall over and pass out. But all of that should be, really, you should be having an opposite to your normal reaction to shifts and changes. That's how you know you're actually shifting and changing with the new vibrations that are flowing in. Some of the new vibrations are because we've attracted additional teachers and additional masters. I said earlier in this year that a lot of the students are now acquiring the next level of guides who are available to take you on the next part of your journey. So individually, we are attracting new energy systems. We're not attracting, we're moving into the space where our vibrations then make us available to the new teaching or the new guidance that is is already present in our contract with the universe for the next level. You know how that works, right? I rise to the occasion and I meet myself there. And when I meet myself there, the guidance that I require at that level is already established. There isn't one single thing, one single vibration or element of guidance or instrument or natural resource that you need in the universe that isn't already in creation to meet you in your readiness for it. That isn't there already, waiting for you to find it, to come to it, to be in harmony and alignment with it. And this is why we say, as you move forward, as you make decisions, as you live your intention, that red carpet rolls out in front of you to take you to the next level and the next level and the next level. It might cause a lot of irritation along the way, but trust me, it's worth it. So all of these new guides who are available on an individual level to each of the people in the network also comes with their new energies and acts as part of the preparation work that we're doing to be in alignment with them. It's so awesome that we have so many words to talk about things and then we just run out of words. I often get frustrated that I see I am using the same words over and over again to describe things at a completely different level or at a completely different understanding. And I wish I had a different vocabulary to indicate that we're like moved somewhat. The power of the word is such that it applies at every space and time. Okay, I can live with that. Where was I? Okay, all of the new energies. They bring change. They bring a pressure and a restlessness for transformation. They might even press all of your buttons into that sick and tired feeling. All of that is perfectly normal, so don't berate yourself or beat yourself up for it. Just ease, go into a space of ease within, go, okay, I know this feeling. You know this feeling. You did it a year and a half ago. You did it 6 months before that. You did it a year before that. If you trace all of the time that you've spent doing these meditations, you will know this feeling of restlessness because it's a familiar one now. We've all had it. Where we're at now is just absorbing, easing, integrating, and holding our own space, meaning being aware of how we are fulfilling the moment within ourselves so that we are in fact receptive to whatever is changing outside of ourselves. I said to one of my students yesterday, just stop for a moment and picture a big circle with a little circle inside it, and that they are perfectly centered. So the little circle is perfectly centered within the big circle. And then close your eyes and see it in front of you and answer the question intuitively. Which circle is I the soul? Which circle is I the soul?
The space in between. All of it.
All of it. The big circle. See, now intuitively, whatever answer you got intuitively speaks to where you are right now in your alignment with this affirmation, I am soul. When I look at the circle, that little circle centered inside of it is my incarnated self. The big circle is I the soul, and I know that I'm living from the peripheries, the perimeters, that circumference of the big circle. That's my circle. That's my circumstance, which is what we talked about at one of the meditations recently, right? What is your circle? All 360 points. The incarnated being is the small circle inside, and it is fully embraced by the big circle. The incarnated being includes the flow of the big circle. But the incarnated being must learn to hold that flow, to be a channel of that flow. And that's a lot of the work that we're doing, specifically in these meditations, where I'm learning to hold the big circle. Now this is a good time to start thinking big. To start seeing that that little circle can actually impact on the big circle and has a command over it as a focal point of expression. And this is why we have the demand for integrity, for living intentionally in integrity, for living intuitively in integrity. This is why we have this demand. Because for the authority of who you are in the incarnated state, in the little circle, to hold the big circle and to move that big circle in its communication with everything else in the universe, that's work. It's not hard work, but it's work that requires trust. It's work that requires peace of mind. It's work that requires practice. And then, of course, it's work that requires a willingness to allow. These are all the qualities of soul that we've talked about. It means being able to set aside control. And what's that other big I word? Illusion. Set aside control and illusion and la-la land thinking in order to allow this flow of the big circle on your little circle. It gets more complicated if you imagine the big circle as that multi-dimensional ball. Remember when we did the now moment meditation and we had a multi-dimensional ball and we could stick pins in it? Everybody remembers that meditation, right? Okay, everybody doesn't remember that meditation. I love it when the guides are answering me. Everybody doesn't remember that one. That's cool. Even if you don't remember it. If you imagine that the big circle is a proper three-dimensional ball and that it is spinning exactly like the earth does on its own merry way, and then the little circle aligned at the center of it is also a three-dimensional ball spinning in its own direction. Do you see how complicated this connectedness gets? And then when we say what's in your circle, we're no longer considering 360 degrees. How many degrees do we have now? I don't know. I've never calculated it. But every point on the little circle is able to connect to every point on the big circle. So imagine if you were sticking a pin through the big circle and connecting it all the way to the little circle. That's what you've got. We are these multi-dimensional mandalas, which is pretty much the experience you were having last week. The big circle, embracing the little circle, spinning on the inside, spinning on the outside, 12 bodies all spinning simultaneously, and then as a third system being completely connected to universal intelligence that is spinning in its own big ball that has no periphery or perimeter, that has no circumstance or circumference. That's what we're doing. The 3 levels. Now that's complicated enough. That's mind-boggling enough. And then just to really, really challenge you, there are a whole bunch of other circles inside of their own big circles, bumping into your circle, overlapping over your circle, rubbing shoulders with it. We call those relationships, right? Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough. It's work enough to manage your own circle, spinning inside of this big circle, before you try to control somebody else's little circle, spinning around in their big circle. Yeah. So just as practice, when you look at other people, see their little circle spinning inside of a big circle, and that big circle is spinning inside of infinity, eternity, the universal intelligence, and then it becomes more easily understood why life itself is so complicated. And that really the quickest way to manage all of that is to have some very basic understandings and agreements with which you stay on course. That's why we have things like values. That's why we have a mission statement for ourselves. The mission statement for this center is to live creatively, on purpose, with passion now. Not next week, or 10 years from now, or when all of those other things are done and we've got that much money, or we've made that much, presence in the world, or we've acquired that much fame. But now, just now. That's the mission of this center. And we've done fairly well so far. And then every year we add an intention to that. Last year it was to live intentionally. This year it's to live intuitively. And God only knows what next year will bring, because next year is being created by how we live this year. Obviously we did really well with living intentionally. So we sort of got promoted into living intuitively. Maybe next year we'll just go with living intelligently. Who knows? But when we're living it now, and the little circle is spinning beautifully in harmony with the big circle, which in turn is spinning beautifully in harmony with eternity and in infinity, with Shiv itself, then we have no problems moving to the next level of understanding and knowing and living self. That's what this work is for. So we are dancing with the universe all the time. And just very by the way, all of this balancing work that we do, in terms of balancing yin and yang, is also about balancing the small circle with the big circle. The big circle has no yin and yang. Soul does not do yin and yang. The universal intelligence does not do yin and yang. It is. It is only for our understanding, and primarily in accordance with Hindu and Chinese philosophy, that we have divided the world into divine masculine and divine feminine. That which manifests the creative essence. It's for our understanding. The universe itself makes no such distinction. Why would it divide itself when it is everything? Why would it divide light itself when light is just light? So we have to stop and just look at ourselves from the outside for a moment, and in seeing that picture, aspire to it, practice it, even perspire a little in order to live it as well as possible. If you are truly on a spiritual pathway. If you are not truly on a spiritual pathway, then it's okay to think that the whole world is in fact the little circle, and to use spiritual law to manipulate and control the little circle and all the other little circles. This is out of accordance with spiritual law anyway, and then you'll come back and you'll do it again, and you'll come back and you'll do it again, and you'll come back and you'll do it again. So that's free will. It's okay. If I'm making it sound awful, it's because it is. It's wasted energy. But we all take lifetimes to do it anyway. And in terms of spiritual law, nothing is wasted. So go right ahead. What does upset me about it, and I do get upset, is I speak to so many people who are watching YouTube and Goldcast, They're talking to people who say, okay, I have failed over and over and over again, and this is why I failed, and that's what I should tweak about what I want to acquire and what I want to manifest. And the whole system of teaching is based on the understanding that the physical plane is as real as it gets. That we want to acquire something for the physical plane and prove our existence on the physical plane, and that definition of success is then enlightenment. And you say, have you heard of the Buddha? And they go, oh yes, I watched this YouTube thing about it, and I read about it, and that's what I heard. And of course it's been distilled in such a way that everything that the Buddha said has now been put into a little box that fits into what can I acquire and accumulate and manipulate on the physical plane in order to be something in it and do something that the whole world approves of. And if you look at the teachers on the physical plane at the moment, all of these movements that are happening, well, Holy Mother of God. Let's not get too excited. But it's the same thing as how scientists ask a question. How you ask the question predetermines the nature of the answer you are going to receive. So if somebody says to me, how can I manifest a house? That already has set my answer on a particular pathway. If I step off that pathway and I say, sweetie pie, you are not living here to acquire a house, let's talk about how you can become the best version of yourself instead, she's going to look at me because I haven't answered her question. So of course, the quickest thing to say is, well, you need one of those vision boards. You need a vision board, and you need intention, and you need all of those things. So here I am explaining the tenets of manifestation and the law of manifestation for the physical plane use of acquiring a house, and I feel a bit wasted and reduced. And then I have to say, but once you've acquired the house, can you please remember that it houses your soul? It houses the physical body that houses the soul. And that when you die, you are going to leave that house behind. Now, how much energy do you want to invest in acquiring the house so that you can die and leave it behind? And when you die and leave it behind, get to the other side and say, oh, but I manifested a house. I'm stuck in my base chakra. I have to go back and do that again. And of course, she looks at me with complete confusion, because she doesn't know what her base chakra is. She has no concept of dying, because, that's not guaranteed where she lives. And of course, when she dies, she's going to count, I got a house, as an achievement. This is the physical plane value system with which spirituality has been taught, and that boxes the little circle. So when you look at it now, here's your big circle with the little circle not quite centered anymore, and it has a box over it. Everybody who's living in the box has to break the box in order to truly have a spiritual life, and you have been in the process of breaking the box. What we've done while we've been breaking the box is building another box. We've gone through all sorts of shapes. We've gone through rectangles and octagons. We've done crazy distortions. We've done stars. We've done all of these things until we can return to our natural beingness, which is the circle within the circle. That's what we've been doing in a nutshell. So how's your circle looking now? If I say close your eyes and imagine the little circle inside the big circle, intuitively, which circle is I the soul? Don't give me the right answer, give me the intuitive answer. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself, because it's going to inform you of where you are still coming from and where you need to shift that understanding. It's okay if the little circle is still I the soul and the big circle is still I the personality doing life. It's okay. But if that's where you are, acknowledge it. Take ownership of it. Don't pretend otherwise for yourself, because integrity is a primary ingredient to shifting that balance and imbalance. If for any reason, when you picture this, your center circle is off kilter, it's someplace else and it's clinging to the periphery somewhere, get off your bloody high horse with spirit and come back to the center. Get centered with your soul, because I, the soul, is not tuned in to living one particular dimension of spirit only. It is tuned in to living the multi-dimensional intelligence of the universe in every possible direction simultaneously. So that's a different type of work that needs to happen to get centered within your soul self. And we do that at every meditation automatically. If for any reason whatsoever, when you picture this, you do not have a big circle at all, or you do not have a little circle at all, we have bigger problems. Make an appointment. Just saying. Oh no, I need an appointment. Okay, let us meditate.